The fact that pigeons can do basic math. Pigeons are much smarter than people think. Scientists found that pigeons can learn to do math just as well as some monkeys. They can look at different groups of objects and put them in order from 1 to 9. They can even learn to recognize patterns and count how many items are in a pile to get a treat. They aren't just flying around looking for crumbs. Their brains are actually working hard to solve puzzles. The fact that you are taller in the morning. If you measure yourself right when you wake up and then again before you go to bed, you will notice you have shrunk by about 1 centimeter. This is because gravity pushes down on your spine all day, squishing the soft cushions, discs between your bones. While you sleep, you're lying flat, which allows those cushions to soak up fluid and inflate back to their full size, making you taller for your morning breakfast. The way a bird's brain regrows every year. Many songbirds have a brain that actually changes size depending on the season. In the winter, when they don't need to sing, the part of their brain that remembers songs gets smaller to save energy. But when spring comes, their body sends out a signal to grow new brain cells. Within just a few weeks, that part of the brain puffs back up so the bird can remember its favorite songs and learn new ones to attract a mate. It's like having a computer that adds a new hard drive every spring. The fact that you can't taste food without spit. Your tongue has thousands of tiny taste buds, but they are tucked away in little wells. To taste anything, the chemicals in your food have to be dissolved in liquid so they can flow into those wells. If your tongue was completely dry, a piece of chocolate would taste like a piece of dry wood. Your saliva, spit, is the key that unlocks the flavor molecules and carries them to your taste sensors so your brain can enjoy the meal. The way your brain forgets the feel of your clothes. Right now, you're wearing clothes and they're touching your skin. But until I said this, you probably weren't thinking about it. This is called sensory adaptation. Your brain is constantly being hit with thousands of messages. To keep from being overloaded, it ignores things that stay the same, like the feeling of your shirt or the smell of your own house. This allows your brain to focus only on new things, like a fly landing on your arm or a strange noise. The fact that some flowers heat up to attract bugs. The voodoo lily and some other plants can actually make their own heat. They use a special chemical trick to raise their temperature by as much as 15 degrees higher than the air around them. They do this to cook their smell so it spreads further and faster into the wind. This attracts bugs that like warmth or smells, helping the plant get pollinated even on a cold day. The way an elephant hears with its feet. Elephants make very low, rumbling sounds that are so deep humans can't hear them. These sounds travel through the ground like tiny earthquakes. An elephant has sensitive pads in its feet and bones in its legs that catch these vibrations from the ground. By listening with their feet, elephants can talk to each other and hear a storm coming from over 20 miles away. The fact that your lungs could cover a tennis court. Your lungs are much bigger than they look. Inside your chest, the tubes branch out into millions of tiny, stretchy bubbles. If you were to take all these tiny bubbles and spread them out flat on the ground, they would be large enough to cover half of a tennis court. This massive size is necessary so your blood can touch as much fresh air as possible at once, allowing you to get all the oxygen you need with just one breath. The way your heart fixes your body. Every single cell in your body needs food and air to stay alive. Your heart is the engine that delivers these packages. It pumps blood through miles and miles of tiny tubes. If you laid out all the blood vessels in one person's body in a straight line, they would wrap around the earth twice. Your heart works so hard that it pumps enough blood in one lifetime to fill 3 giant oil tankers. The trapdoor in your throat. Every time you eat, you're performing a life-saving trick. You have 2 tubes in your throat, one for food and one for air. To make sure food doesn't go down the air tube, which would make you choke, you have a little flap called the epiglottis. It acts like a trapdoor. Every time you swallow, the flap flips down to cover the air tube, forcing the food to go down the correct pipe into your stomach. It's like a traffic cop directing cars to the right road. The stink-fighting lemur competition. When male ring-tailed lemurs have a disagreement, they don't use their teeth or claws to fight. Instead, they have stink wars. On their wrists, they have special glands that make a very smelly liquid. They rub this smell all over their long, bushy tails until they are soaking wet. Then, they stand in front of their rival and wave their tails in the other lemur's face. The lemur with the strongest, most stinky smell wins the fight, and the loser walks away in shame. It's a very clever way to settle an argument without anyone actually getting hurt. the ghost signals in your brain. Have you ever felt your phone vibrate in your pocket, but when you pulled it out, there was no message? This is a real medical condition called phantom vibration syndrome. It happens because our brains have become so trained to expect alerts from technology. Your brain is so ready for a text that it accidentally takes a tiny muscle twitch or the feeling of your pants rubbing against your leg and interprets it as a phone vibration. Your brain is basically having a tiny hallucination because it's trying so hard to be helpful. The science of why smiling tricks your brain. If you're feeling grumpy, you can actually force yourself to feel better using a trick called the facial feedback hypothesis. When you move your face muscles into a smile, those muscles send a message to your brain. Even if you aren't actually happy, the brain sees the smile and says, "Oh, we must be happy since we are smiling." It then starts releasing happy chemicals like dopamine and serotonin. You can literally hack your own mood just by moving your face, proving that your body can tell your brain how to feel. The tree that uses lightning to grow. In certain parts of the world, there are trees that have evolved to love thunderstorms. When lightning strikes a tree, it usually catches fire. But some trees have very thick bark that protects them. The lightning strike superheats the air around the tree, which turns nitrogen from the air into a type of food that the tree can soak up through its roots. Instead of killing the tree, the lightning bolt actually gives the plant a giant vitamin shot of energy. The fact that horses talk with their ears. If you want to know what a horse is thinking, don't look at its eyes, look at its ears. Horses have 17 different facial moves, and most of them involve their ears. They can point their ears in different directions to tell other horses where to look or to show if they are angry, scared, or happy. Because horses are prey animals, they evolved a way to talk to their friends silently so that lions or tigers wouldn't hear them whispering. The zombie worms that eat whale bones. At the very bottom of the ocean, where it is freezing and dark, lives a strange creature called the Ostax, or bone-eating worm. These worms don't have mouths or stomachs. Instead, they land on the skeletons of dead whales that have sunk to the bottom. They drill into the bones using a special acid and use tiny bacteria to eat the fat and oil hidden deep inside the bone. They are nature's deep-sea recycling crew, turning old bones into energy for the ocean. The reason why sunsets look like a rainbow. Sunsets aren't naturally red. The air makes them that way. During the day, the sun is directly above you, and its light goes through a thin layer of air. At sunset, the light has to travel through much more of the atmosphere to reach your eyes. This extra air acts like a filter, scattering away all the blue and violet light, and leaving only the long-reaching red and orange rainbow colors for you to see. The dust and pollution in the air actually make the colors look even brighter. The singing sand dunes of the desert. In some deserts like the Sahara or the Gobi, the sand doesn't just sit there, it actually sings. When sand slides down the side of a large dune, it can create a low, humming sound that is as loud as a low-flying plane. This happens because the sand grains are all almost the exact same size and shape. As they slide over each other, they create friction that vibrates the air. If the sand is dry enough and the slide is big enough, the vibrations sync up to create a perfect musical note. People have described it as sounding like a giant pipe organ playing under the desert floor. The mushroom that is the largest living thing on Earth. When people think of the biggest living thing, they usually think of a blue whale or a giant redwood tree. But the actual winner is a giant fungus, a mushroom, in Oregon called the Armillaria ostoi. It is over 2,000 years old and covers an area as big as 1,600 football fields. Most of the mushroom is hidden underground as a massive web of white threads that eat the roots of trees. The mushrooms you see popping up on the surface are just tiny fingers of one single, giant living creature that stretches for miles beneath the forest. The star, that is a giant diamond. 50 light years away from Earth, there is a star named Lucy, after the song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. It used to be a star like our sun, but it died and cooled down. Because it was so heavy, the pressure squeezed its carbon, the stuff in coal, until it turned into a solid diamond the size of our moon. It is a giant, glowing space diamond that weighs 10 billion trillion carats. Fish don't have lungs. They have gills. But the real magic is how the blood inside the gills moves. The blood flows in the opposite direction of the water moving through the gills. This is called countercurrent exchange. Because they move in opposite ways, the blood is always meeting water that has more oxygen in it. This trick allows fish to soak up almost 90% of the oxygen in the water, which is much more efficient than how our lungs work. The reason why the sky is blue. The sun's light looks white, but it is actually made of all the colors of the rainbow. When that light hits the gas and dust in Earth's air, it bumps into the tiny molecules and scatters. Blue light travels in shorter, smaller waves, so it gets scattered more than the other colors. This blue splash fills the whole sky. When the sun is setting, the light has to travel through much more air, which washes out the blue and lets the longer red and orange waves reach your eyes instead. The secret map inside a dog's nose. A dog's nose is wet for a very important reason. The moisture helps catch tiny scent particles floating in the air. But the coolest part is that dogs can smell in 3D. Their nostrils work separately, so their brain can tell which nostril caught a smell first. This allows them to know exactly which direction a smell is coming from. Also, when they breathe out, the air goes out through the slits on the side of their nose, which actually helps pull more new smells into the front of their nose.